Hi, we're continuing the theme about optimization of a business and optimization of time. This particular video is about optimizing time around people, suppliers, and clients. Um, we spend an awful lot of time investing in these relationships, and therefore the amount of time we spend is also, very expensive and can really impact a business if it's wasted. So I'm going to quickly start on suppliers. Look, suppliers are the lifeblood of many businesses. You can have fantastic relationships, stand you in good stead for many, many years. But markets change, people change, and requirements change. And depending where you're moving and the supplier's moving, there can come a time where it's time to call it a day on that relationship. So for me, I used to have methods of assessing supplier performance, on a very simple red, amber, green basis against some set criteria. I spent 8 years as a supply management director, so I was able to do that. And the key thing was I'd look at these relationships, not just at the quality of the people, but certainly the profitability, the throughput of our supply chain, where we're making money. And hopefully I'd, look at those in such a way quite objectively so that I could make, informed decisions. Inevitably, I held on to relationships too long because I built up great ties with people and, we enjoyed doing business together. So sometimes my objectivity was clouded, by emotions of good relations and so forth. But when we did exit, the thing I will say is because even if a relationship is unhealthy at an economic level or unprofitable at an economic level, please make sure you exit those relationships ethically, professionally, with good grace, because you don't know when you're going to need those people and those relationships again. So definitely, if you're going to call it a day, do it in a really positive and constructive manner. In terms of clients, clients again can be the lifeblood of a business. We invest massively in client relationships. Every business does and should, and no doubt you do. And that again brings a challenge, between being objective and being emotional. So again, that same approach, red, amber, green. Have some criteria. What defines a green relationship? What would put that relationship into an amber status? And clearly, if it's going into red, then we're doing something wrong, and we need to address it. But the key thing is review those relationships at appropriate timeframes. In my business, it was about every 3 to 4 months, and I'd be looking back a quarter, looking forward a quarter, maybe looking back 2 quarters. Key thing is I was reviewing them on a regular basis. Again, hung on to some relationships too long. Things became a bit frayed. Important still to try and exit those relationships with good grace, good timing, good manners, and again, you just never know when you're going to need to be back in touch with someone. And finally, people in the business. We can say that people are our best asset, but sometimes they're not, and there can be a real challenge and a real problem in the business. And I was taught a great lesson by a chairman of a serious UK enterprise who I met over a beer at a beer festival. And thankfully, he gave me some of his wisdom. And I asked him a question and said, what could I learn from him in 15 minutes that was so generic I could apply it to any business? And he said to me, do you have people in your business that look like winners, sound like winners, but they're not winners? And I started laughing and I said, yeah. And he said, why? Well, why is that? And I felt about 2 feet tall all of a sudden, so I started listening, and he disclosed his secrets to me about how he managed that process, how he identified these people, how he managed these people, and how it improved his business. And I took that lesson back to work, and I applied it using a system, that I call gets it, wants it, capacity to do it, GWC, that I read about in a book, and along with the lesson that I learned. And where I could sense in the business, performance challenges, I would basically look in a much more objective manner move away some of the emotions, check with a few of my colleagues if they did a GWC survey on that person, a GWC audit, did they come out with similar results to me, put in place a process to deal with it, and unfortunately, more often than not, it led to that person exiting the business. But again, it was done on a professional basis with achievable goals and achievable outcomes. The good news is when it was dealt with, generally speaking, everyone was happy, and some of the people that left the business remain good friends today. They knew it was the right thing for them. Ultimately, they were not in the right role, not in the right place, not at the right time in their careers, and it was good for everyone. So it's not always a negative to deal with things. So I've made mistakes both in recruiting, in managing, and not dealing with things properly. But again, I minimise those issues as I got older and learned to deal with things in a better way. So that's it really for today. Thank you for listening. If you've been listening all the way through, I hope you've learned something that's been useful in this short period. My name's Darren Stringer. My company is Vera Causa, veracausa.co.uk. More about our business on the website. And if you're looking at any tips, tricks, or you're looking for any help, advice, then please get in touch. You know where I am on LinkedIn or through our website. It'd be great to hear from you, and I look forward to helping you if I can. Very, very best. Take care.